Hello everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII. We are at part 18. In the last part, we dealt with Yuffie's shenanigans and got our materia back. And in this part, we're actually going to continue on the main quest and search for the Temple of the Ancients. And actually, you're expected at this point in the game to kind of just explore around a bit. But since I know exactly where to go, we aren't going to be doing that. So yeah, we're just kind of making our way along. We're going to go to this house here that we actually can't get to until we get this, the tiny Bronco. So yeah, we're just making our way along. And then we got this guy here, who apparently, as we'll find out, had the keystone that will get you to the Temple of the Ancients. But apparently he has already sold it to someone else, and we're about to find out who that is. But yeah, the keystone is the thing that can get us into the Temple of the Ancients, which that's where Sephiroth's trying to go. So we gotta get that so we can get there before Sephiroth. But yeah, he sold it to the Dio, the guy in the gold saucer, the manager of the gold saucer, who threw us into the desert prison. But we're friends with him now. He apologized. He realized that we weren't actually the people who did it. But yeah. I almost had to sneeze there, and then I held it in. And now I feel awful. It's just you know how it is when you sneeze, or when you need to sneeze, and then it just kind of wears off, and then you just feel really unsatisfied. That's just what happened. It's like blue balling, but in your nose. That's probably not a good comparison. Anyways, so now we have to head back to the gold saucer, which conveniently is, right there. So yeah, we're gonna head back, but kind of an annoying thing. It's more of a nitpick than anything else. I'm trying to find a shorter way, but we have to just go there and move all the way up. Kind of an annoying thing. To get to the gold saucer, you actually have to go into North Corel and then take the thing up to the gold saucer. You can't just walk into the area itself. It's not a big deal. It's just something that it is a little really? And you gotta watch the FMV every time. And oh well, it's not a huge deal. But later in the game, we will actually be going to the gold saucer quite a bit for side questy stuff, so that's fun. Like I said, we are nearing the end of Disc 1. Disc 1 will be ending on part 20, so look forward to that. If you know this game, you know the end of Disc 1 is, it's a doozy, alright. So just look forward to that. But yeah. So yeah, we're just making our way to the gold saucer so we can talk to Dio and hopefully get the keystone, so we can get to the Temple of the Ancients. Which, yeah, this part, nothing major is happening in the main story, but this part will have something interesting that will happen in a bit later. And I have actually failed to explain an entire mechanic that this game has, because it doesn't become relevant until this part. But yeah, but I'll get to that when I get to that. Yeah, this isn't going to be like a super gameplay focused part or story focused part. This is more just almost a filler part, I guess, just to get us to the Temple of the Ancients, which we will be going to in part 19. So yeah, but not to say that we don't get any story at all, because we will. Once again here, I kind of get ahead of myself in the sequence of events, and I try to go to the hotel immediately. We will be needing to go to the hotel later, but I try to go there immediately, and then I'm like, oh wait, I have to talk to Dio first. But yeah. And also here, you might notice I'm paying the 30,000 gil, just so, because we will be back here much later in the game. So I want to just get that out of the way, so I don't ever have to pay to get in again. And by end game, 30,000 gil is going to be like nothing. We're going to have like hundreds of thousand. of Gil, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I get ahead of myself here, and I'm like, let's go to the hotel. And then I realize pretty quick, we don't need to go to the hotel yet. We need to talk to Dio. That's why we're here. And I'm a fucking idiot. Fun fact, I'm an idiot, and I'm... But yeah. I love this hotel, though. Like I said, I didn't show off much of the gold saucer our first time here. Because we just didn't have a lot we needed to do here, but I will be showing it off later in the game. And this hotel is great. It's this, you know, spooky ass themed hotel. But anyways, we got to go to the battle arena and check out Dio's showroom, because that is where he's holding the keystone. So, you know, maybe we can get it from him. It's like he's just showing it off. I don't know. Dio's a weird guy. Yeah, he's shirtless always. He's not wearing a lot. He's an interesting guy, but yeah. So what he's going to let us do is he's going to let us have the keystone if we can show him our skills in the battle arena. And oh boy, you will love the battle arena, because it's part of to get many in-game items, you have to do the battle arena and get battle points, and it's a little infuriating because if you mess up, you get nothing at all. If you like die in a battle, you get nothing, and unless you like win all the way through, you won't get shit, like if you stop early. But here, we don't have to worry about battle points. We just go as long as we can. We are too low level to finish this, but the gimmick of the battle arena is it's a one-person battle, so only one party member can get in, and after every round, there are 8 rounds total. After every round, there will be some handicap put on you. So let's say, one round, first round you have no handicaps, and the second round it might be like, oh well, now your HP is halved, or now you can no longer use assist materia, so you can no longer steal or use enemy skills, or you can no longer use magic materia, or your MP is halved, or something like that. You can sometimes get lucky and get a skill that actually is just like HP restored or something like that, but that usually doesn't happen. Also, I'm in a problematic situation here. They have just stopped me, and I'm also going to be petrified soon unless I do something, so they are just throwing the status elements all over me, aren't they? But yeah. The battle arena is actually really fun in concept. It just becomes annoying when you have to do it over and over and over again to get some of the in-game items, and that's entirely optional, so, you know, I can't knock the game too hard for it, because if you don't want to do it, you absolutely don't have to, but it's just a little annoying. You just have to do it a lot, and it's one of the other reasons I'm thankful for the speed up feature in the re-releases, because it makes the process so much less painful. But, you know, we're playing the original for this commentary, so we're gonna have to suck it up and deal with it. I'll speed it up. I'll speed through it. Once we get to that point, we aren't getting there until disc 3 though, so we got a ways to go. Disc 3, just so you know, so this game is 3 discs, and how it's split up is the majority of the game is in disc 1. The majority of the main story is in disc 1. A lot of the main story is in disc 2 also, but not quite as much. Disc 2 I think is a bit smaller than disc 1 overall. Still, you know, a ton of the story is still in disc 2. And then disc 3 is just in-game. Disc 3, like really, main quest wise, disc 3 is just the final dungeon and final boss. But disc 3 is side quest disc. Disc 3 is where they put all, like, that's where most people will typically be doing, and they just stopped me instantly, so the battle just ended. That's great. I didn't even lose, they just had a status effect on me. But yeah. Later in the game we will actually have an accessory that will prevent status elements, and that'll make the battle square a lot less infuriating. You can get multiple of those. They're ribbons. You can get multiple of those in the game. Actually, next part, you can get one in the Temple of the Ancients, and I've already recorded it. Then I realized after I recorded it, shit, I missed the ribbon. But it's okay. We can get another one. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, so that's a little of a shit moment, but it's okay. Anyways, so now we're going to find out. We have the keystone, so we should be able to get going, but the lift is down, so we can't leave. So that's a problem. So now what we have to do, and what I got ahead of myself for, was we actually have to go to the hotel to stay for the night, because we can't leave. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna all meet up at the hotel, and this is where Cloud is actually going to give a recap of what's happened so far to fill everybody in, because we have some new party members that haven't been here since the beginning, so they're all like, a lot of them don't know what's going on. So like Kate said, there's like, please tell us what's going on. And Sid has no fucking idea either, and Vincent has somewhat of an idea, but he's there's Barrett. I've been here since the beginning and I still don't know what the hell's going on. Oh, I love Barrett. But yeah, this is one of the few times in the game that like the entire gang is together. I like that. But this is just kind of a recap, mostly for the player, because this story is starting to get a little convoluted. Sephiroth's searching for the supposed promised land, which is the area the Cetra were trying to get to on their journey from planet to planet. But then the Cetra became dormant, and the Cetra almost went extinct for, well, some reason. And then Sephiroth is trying to search for that to get ultimate power for some reason. And he also wants this ultimate destruction materia for some reason that is hidden away in the Temple of the Ancients, also known as the Black Materia. And we will get more information on that in the next part, but let's just say the Black Materia is not good news, and we don't want Sephiroth to get it. That's probably... Oh, excuse me, that's probably a given, right? But also, there are those men in black capes that all are talking about some kind of reunion, and they all have numbered tattoos on them, and they realize Red 13 has a tattoo of the number 13 on him. So they are all starting to connect this back to Hojo, because Red 13 was experimented on by Hojo. So they're starting to link this back to Hojo, that Hojo's up to something. But what do they mean by reunion? What does Sephiroth mention reunion too? What does that mean? There's still a lot of unanswered questions, and even Cloud's backstory, like I said, has some holes. So there's a lot of unanswered questions here. Definitely not everything is completely clear, and that's not a knock on the game. That is completely 100% intentional. It's meant to be a little confusing and a little like, I don't know fully what's happening, because those are going to be some surprises for later. And it's the reason I highly recommend not playing the extended universe games before the original. Like, for example, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII takes place before this game, but play this game before you play Crisis Core. Otherwise, it will spoil some major revelations in this game, in the second half of this game, that are meant to be these big surprises. Okay, so now we get to this part. Cloud staying the night at the hotel, and then somebody walks in, and we get Aerith. But this game has an entire affection stat for characters, so you can go on a date potentially with Aerith, who is the default. Aerith, you're probably going to get on your first playthrough if you don't know what you're doing. But you can also get Tifa, or Yuffie, or even Barrett. But Barrett's really hard to get. You just basically have to make everyone else hate you to get Barrett. And the way you raise somebody's affection stat is whenever those little questions that they ask you throughout the game, and you get to choose what you say, all of those have an impact on how they feel about you. So if you're super nice to Aerith and never, don't turn her down for anything, all that stuff, she's going to like you, and she's going to want to go on this date with you. If you do that with Tifa, Tifa will go on the date with you. Same with Yuffie, and then Barret is just you get everyone else to fucking hate you, and then you can get Barret. But yeah, my personal favorite update is Tifa, but Aerith's is the most likely you're gonna get, so I decided for this playthrough to be nice to Aerith just so I could show off Aerith's, because this is the one you're probably going to get, and Aerith's I like a lot too. But we have this performance here that we are actually playing roles in because we were the 100th couple to show up here. But basically all we have to do is just say whatever we want, and then the actors will cover for us. And Cloud's just not having it. But basically, I love this part of the game. But yeah, there's this entire like it's almost like a precursor. It doesn't affect the ending or anything like that, but it's kind of a precursor to some other RPGs where like you can, you know, end up dating someone like Persona or something. It's a little bit of a precursor to that, because it's one of those like your choices actually really matter here. Like, and it actually get you a completely different scene depending on who you pick. The princess's measurements. So that's really nice. And you know, maybe some of the choices matter things from Chrono Trigger rubbed off onto this game a little bit, which I'm totally fine with. But you know, there's no like bad ending or anything. There's no different endings. Who is your enemy? That night. And then Aerith's getting mad at Cloud because he's just intentionally trying to fuck things up. Oh shit. She just fucking annihilates him. But yeah, like I said, Aerith is the default. Aerith, I think, has a higher affection stat by default. I mean, she's already, from the very beginning, pretty flirty with Cloud. But yeah. But Tifa is like my personal favorite, and that's for reasons, a lot of reasons. But Tifa's also just probably, she might be my favorite character in this game. So, but we haven't fully gotten into why yet, because, you know, this game's not over. We still got some stuff left, you know, 2 whole discs. But anyways, now we get, this scene is the one that's notably different depending on who you pick. The dialogue here is pretty much completely different for every person. And you know, there's the unintentionally gay stuff with Barret and Cloud if you get him as a date. We get some nice little FMVs here that actually, you know, will transition straight into, sometimes we'll transition straight back into me looking around like this. Yeah, you know, I do like this scene with Aerith a lot, because Aerith is just this very sassy, very, you know, kind of go-get-em kind of person, but she also has this big heart, and she clearly has a past. I mean, she talked about her ex-boyfriend was in Soldier, and we don't really know what happened to her ex-boyfriend. But almost like she sees him in Cloud, is the way I take it anyway. And I think that's how you're kind of meant to take it. But that's a really... I know some people would say that that's, you know, probably unhealthy, but it also makes her a little more human. 2 completely different people, but... Huh. Yeah, so yeah, she sees her old boyfriend in Cloud, but we don't know what happened between them. But yeah, Aerith is a great character, and it kind of annoys me that the extended universe ones just try to make her this essence of like purity and nothing else, when she's not that at all in the original game. I love this line here, I want to meet you. I think that's perfect. That's perfect for what this entire game is about. I want to meet you. Not who you think you are. You. You know? I don't know if you get that yet, but you will. It's a little bit of subtle foreshadowing there, and I love it. But as I said, this game is all about identity, and it explores that a lot, and it kind of annoys me. There were so recently the trailer for a new trailer for the Final Fantasy VII remake came out, and the game looks great, but it showed off the sequence and the Midgar sequence where Cloud dresses up as a girl, and that got a lot of people stirred up, and then people got really defensive and were just like, hey, you know, Cloud, this is done as a joke in the game, and it's done because Cloud has no other choice and he has to, and there's no like implication that he's gay at all. And then I'm like, no, that's wrong. This game implicates a lot that Cloud might be not, I don't think, he's definitely not gay, but might be a little gay. He almost kisses Don Corneo. He can go on a date with Barrett. He goes all out when he dresses up as a girl. He could have just gotten the dress and the wig, but he like gets the makeup, the lingerie. It's just ridiculous. But also, anyways, my point being, this game is about identity, and it explores that a lot, and even messes around with the idea of sexuality, because that's such a huge part of identity, right? But anyways, what's going on here, right? So, Kate Sith stole the Keystone, and as we find out here, Kate Sith was the spy, the spy that they mentioned earlier. So that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? He was the one that really joined our party just in an instant, no hesitation. He's just part of the party all of a sudden. And now we realize it's because was trying to get in on the party so he could help the Shinra. And he is actually a person at Shinra headquarters controlling this body. That, of course, this isn't a real body. It's a robot thing that's being controlled from Shinra headquarters, and we don't know who exactly it is yet, but we will find out later. But as Kate Sith says, they aren't entirely enemies. They're both going after Sephiroth, and also he's kind of confused about their way of life. Just going on this journey even though they really have nothing to gain from it, which I think is interesting. But Cloud is not having any of it. He's like, you're a spy, get the fuck out of here, like, you're helping the Shinra. No. No, that's not okay. But then Kate Sith just straight up blackmails them and is like, hey, we have Marlene. So we're gonna continue on like nothing ever happened, and we're gonna go to the Temple of the Ancients, and but the Shinra are gonna get there first because they have the Keystone, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. Excuse me. But yeah, so that's pretty scummy of him, but yeah, he's the spy. Which, you know, it makes sense. If it was somebody like Barrett or Tifa, I would be like, well, what the fuck? That doesn't really make sense, does it? But yeah, that was the date sequence. And now we are heading to the Temple of the Ancients. But yeah, this game, like I said, this game is about identity, and that becomes incredibly apparent in Disc 2. This game has a lot of themes in it, but ultimately it is a story of identity. So, of course, this game is going to explore that in every way possible, and I hope the remake does the same thing. Even though the remake is just the Midgar sequence, but, you know, the entirety of the remake, all the parts that it will be. Actually, we don't know exactly where the remake is going to end. I'm assuming it's just Midgar, which makes me wonder just how many fucking parts the remake is going to be, because that is, Midgar is about a fourth of Disc 1, so, you know. But yeah, it also makes me a little worried for the story, because like, how much can they add while still keeping it interesting? Because like I said, the Midgar sequence in the original is only like 4 to 5 hours long, and if they're gonna make it into a full-on like 40-hour RPG, that is gonna be interesting how they're going to handle that. But anyways, we actually have to have Aerith in our party now. She has to come with us to the Temple of the Ancients, so we're going to bring her along, of course. She's a bit under-leveled, but, you know, the materia will make up for that. We can just put all the materia we had on Barret onto her. So she's pretty much just like Barret again, just at a slightly lower level. So that's fun. Like I said, the materia system is nice. It doesn't overly punish you. If you haven't been using a party member, then suddenly you need them to take them along for whatever reason. Because, like, you'll notice once we get into the Temple of the Ancients in the next part, she's fine. Like, she can hold her own fun because she has all the good materia. So that's nice. But yeah. Now we are off. We are off to the Temple of the Ancients. Which, once again, you're kind of expected to explore around and find it, but since I know exactly where it is, we're just going to head straight to it. So that's a fun time. But, yeah, this game does explore identity a lot, and specifically, you know, what defines identity. Is it your background? Is it your actions? Is it, like, or is it a series of multiple things that defines identity? And I think that's such an interesting concept, and the story serves it so well. Of course, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of themes of, you know, corruption in corporations, and some social and political commentary there. And there's definitely a running theme of loss throughout the game. But that's true for a lot of Final Fantasy games. And there's another theme that I will get into when we get to it, but ultimately the story is about identity, and every character is fueled in some way by the idea of identity. Sephiroth, Cloud especially, Aerith is, you know, being the last surviving ancient, Tifa, Barret, they're all fueled by their identity in some way, their background, or, you know, who they are. And I guess you could say that about every character in every game, or like every story. They're fueled by their identity, but this game makes such an emphasis on it. I can't help but say that that's what this game is about. And it's a complicated topic. Identity is a very complicated topic. So of course it's going to be a very complicated story, and I wouldn't have it any other way. When people say Final Fantasy stories are complicated, this is really the only one, like, before Hironobu Sakaguchi left, that is super complicated. Of course, after he left, you know, 13 gets pretty complicated, the 15 universe gets pretty complicated, 12 is pretty complicated, but if you look at the plots of the other games before Hironobu Sakaguchi left, like 1 through 9, the plots, they're involved, but they aren't, like, overly convoluted. Like, you can follow them fine. This is the only one that you might have some trouble following, and even then it's only if you aren't just paying super close attention, like if you're kind of zoning out while you're playing. In my first playthrough, I had some questions on a couple things and had to look up answers, but, you know, it's not like the game just doesn't tell you things. It's not that at all. It's just, you know, a very involved, a very complicated plot. And if that's not your thing, this game's probably not for you. Try one of the other Final Fantasies. Might I recommend Final Fantasy IX or Final Fantasy VI? Anyways, we are at the Temple of the Ancients, and we will be going there in the next part. So look forward to that. We are nearing the end of Disc 1. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for Part 19 and more Final Fantasy VII.